What's up, afternoon nerds? It's about 12 noon here at Site B in the 29th day of July in the year of our Lord Hello Kitty, and we've stumbled across another list. This one is always from CBR because we know how much they understand the intricate complexities of the 50-year hobby that is tabletop role-playing. And it is the 10 hardest D&D monsters for DM to use. And it's not like hardest in that, oh, this is a hard monster to use because it has so many actions and there's so much stuff involved and there's a lot of math and battlefield control like a beholder, because there's so many different things a beholder can do. No, it's the hardest because it's the hardest for the players to deal with, because they might make things unfun. So this is the 10 most hardest encounters a DM could throw at groups of players because they're not fun. So let's look why this comes to us from Isaac Williams. It was published 5 days ago. I just saw a link to it today. Let us see why Isaac Williams feels these are the hardest monsters to throw at player characters. So let's see. Not all these monsters are risk-free DM tools. However, some DM monsters have to be used carefully or risk causing genuine damage to the game. I would like to know how a made-up creature that has no tangible existence in our 3D real world can cause lasting harm to the Dungeons & Dragons franchise. Do you think an actual beholder will show up at the offices of Wizards of the Coast in Washington, blast open the doors of their brand new building, and start will-nillying, zapping employees? I mean, I think there's a lot of us who wish it would happen, but no, it's not going to cause genuine damage to the game because they don't exist. Now, what you might mean is it cause genuine damage to the players because, oh no, a player character in 5th edition might get hurt. But having played and run multiple 5e campaigns, I can tell you that even if you try to have a TPK, it is unbelievably difficult. So even if all the players at the table are trying to get themselves killed, which I've seen happen, so yes, this one is risk causing genuine damage to the game because you don't want to upset your players, right? So this is one of those guys who has fallen into this weird Ginny D critical role, bizarre thing that 5e players want to play comfy, safe D&D. Now, I can't speak for 5e players anywhere else, okay? But the actual people playing and running 5th edition that I have associated with since 2014 up till this year, 99% of them do not behave the way people think they behave. 99% of them are like, oh, I died. Oh, well. Now, obviously, there are some of these people out there that perpetuate this myth of the I want to play comfy D&D, and you can't do that to me. But maybe it's a Southern Californian thing. Maybe just Southern California players are more laid back and adult than the rest of the world. I don't know. All I can say is actual 5e players I have engaged with, 99% of them were cool and just wanted to play. And like, oh, if silly, ridiculous things happen, fine. It was fun. But this guy seems to think you can cause genuine damage to the game. So number 10, the Ghost. So the Ghost's primary ability is possession. They can take over player character's body, at which point they can puppet at their leisure. Other than the fact the saving throw is really high, you get a saving throw every round, and more often than not, the Ghost is going to possess an object, not a person. Also, it says here there are a few ways to end the possession other than protection from evil or other things. Actually, there's a lot of ways to end the protection. You just have to trigger a second saving throw, which there's plenty of ways to do. Characters might need to beat their fellows unconscious, costing vastly more resources than the average encounters. Worse, Ghosts can age a character up to 40 years with their terrifying presence features. There are no aging rules in 5e. None. A 99-year-old human is just as capable of operating as a 10-year-old human is in 5e. There are absolutely no disadvantage in 5th edition for running a character. You want your character to be 10,556 years old? You're 10,556 years old. It doesn't affect mathematically. Sure, we might have to come up with a reason why you're that old, but you don't get any bonuses. And if you get hit with the ghost aging power, which I'm pretty sure it's taken out, big deal. Are you referring to old edition ghosts? Because if you're referring to 5e ghosts, dude, they don't have that power anymore. And if you're referring to the older edition ghost, it was 1d10 years. 1d10 years, not 40 years. And most people didn't care. This can render a character unusable or unfun without the DM meaning to. Have you not played 5e, dude? Where are you getting your information? 5e ghosts are basically just upset messengers. Swarm of Rockrub. I'm not even sure Rockrub are still in 5e. A Swarm of Rockrub is the number 9 most dangerous, most unfun creature in the game, because what can they do? Oh, they can reach to your heart unless you burn them out or cast Cure Disease. Well, I gotta think this guy is not up to date on information in 5e. So, sir, this information has not been relevant since 2014. Rock Grub, there is no Cure Disease spell anymore. I've discovered, much to my chagrin, in playing multiple games of D&D, when I have said multiple times, well, you could go get to a Cure Disease spell cast on you, and players have looked at me like I have no idea what I'm talking about, only to have performed. There is no more Cure Disease. It's called Lesser and Greater Restoration, and there's plenty of ways to trigger a second saving throw. There's plenty of ways to deal with Rock Rub, and there's plenty of ways to survive death in 5e. So again, Isaac, did you in fact read 5th edition Monster Manual, or are you just basing this on things you remember from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons? Because most of this is no longer relevant. So I gotta think you are basing this on what you remember about monsters from Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, but you didn't actually go back and look at all the different ways people have come to deal with rock grubs and ghosts. A rust monster. If by this time in the evolution of hobby, you have succumbed to the rust monster's ridiculous power, you deserve it, because there are hundreds of ways to dissuade a rust monster. And even if it somehow managed to get rid of my armor, I will just go buy new armor. Oh no, it rusted my normal weapon. I will just go get a new normal weapon. This is not a disadvantage. It was never a disadvantage. In the old days, it was a disadvantage because, you might be deep in a dungeon and run into a situation where suddenly you are out armor or whatever, and it might be an actual threat. But after like 5 seconds of whining, people realize, oh, well, it didn't destroy anything important. It destroyed my sword. I need a new weapon to hit things with till we get back to town. Oh, look, here's a stick. I can hit things with that. It does about the exact same amount of damage. Also, one copper coin saves you from the rust monster attack. All you got to do is take a couple of copper pieces, throw it the opposite direction you're going, and the rust monsters will chase after it like a dog chasing after a tennis ball. There is so many ways to deal with a rust monster. You just have the wizard poke at it with a stick. Okay? They don't want to eat people. They want to eat your armor. Then they don't care what kind of armor they get, or metal they get. Throw them a spike. They're happy. An extra dagger. They're happy. They're not going to go after you. This has never been, it's a wandering trap that Gygax threw in. Shadow. Shadows drain strength, killing them if it hits 0. Again, that's not a thing anymore. So again, dude, are you talking about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, or are you talking about 5e? Because death from stat loss doesn't exist anymore, and that's not what shadows do anymore. So again, I think you're basing your article on vague recollections of the way things used to be, but you didn't actually look it up. So yes, the shadow's ability to drain strength was pretty awful. the fact that it could only be affected by a few certain things also made it pretty awful. But there was also ways around it, like light, fire, having a cleric with turn undead. Getting those strength points back in the old days was hard. But in today, 5e 2014, 2023, there are multiple ways to get that strength back. And stat loss doesn't kill you anymore. The Beholder. Yes, this is definitely, I agree, this is one of the toughest things you can throw against a group of players, and one of the toughest things to run correctly, because there have so many options of what the Beholder can do with its eye stalks and its anti-magic ray. Now, that said, I ran a bunch of people against the Beholder about 2 years ago when I was running 5e, and they were able to deal with it in like 2 rounds. In fact, one of them said, "Oh, I expected it to be harder." So yes, everything the Beholder does triggers a saving throw. All those saving throws can be re-triggered. Most of with the exception of the stone to flesh and flesh to stone ray, most of it's just damage, right? The biggest thing I always used with Beholders was the telekinesis. That was always the one that got, underrated. Everybody was always like the disintegration first and the flesh to stone first, and then the other stuff. And I was like, no, battlefield control. It's going to use its telekinesis first to separate you. It might use its disintegration not to zap one of you, but to change the battlefield so it has control of the battlefield, since it can fight in 3 dimensions and you can only fight in 2 because it can fly. So yes, a Beholder should be very tough encounter to run. But in 5e, I've seen a group of 4 5th level characters go through a Beholder in 2 rounds. The Banshee, literally 1 ability. So yeah, I mean, and when was the last time anybody used one of these? And most people, like, don't really consider it. And you're saying here the Banshee's wail ability calls all creatures within 30 feet of her to fall to 0 hit points immediately. If they get unless they make their saving throw. Plus, there's the death saves. Plus, I don't think they do that anymore. But let's check. I don't recall ever running or playing or using a Banshee in 5e. So yes, corrupting touch, horrifying visage. A creature drops to 0 hit points. Oh yeah, still there. Okay. It is a DC 13 Constitution saving throw. On a failure, a creature drops to 0 hit points. On a success, the creature takes 3d6 psychic damage. Okay, so it still has the same ability, but then I still get my death saves. And does 0 hit points actually mean anything in 5e? And it's such a rare thing. I don't even know if this should be on here. Intellect Devour. Again, when is anybody ever going to run into these? It can eat your intelligence, it can stun you, and it can take over your body. I guess that's tough. I don't know what the Intellect 5e Devour does. The Intellect Devour 5e. DC 13 intelligence saving throw or takes 3d10 psychic damage. If the target fails the saving throw by 5 or more, its intelligence score is reduced to 0. The target is incapacitated until it regains at least 1 point of intelligence, either from compelling a long rest or from a lesser restoration. That's pretty frightening. It is also a CR. It's only a CR3. That seems a little ridiculous for a CR3 monster, but okay. Sure, I guess that's a little tough because it could take out 1 person. But again, saving throws are so easy to make in 5e. Saving throws are so easy to trigger 5e. It is such a specific attack, and it have to focus that attack on 1 individual, i.e. the wizard. And while it's doing that, it's opening itself to multiple attacks from everybody else. Again, I can see your typical party of CR3 5e characters going through this encounter, especially if it's single, that it would probably be dead by the end of the first round. unless it got lucky and won initiative. The Sphinx. Why? How often have you ever gotten to a fight with a Sphinx? Usually they're there to perplex you with riddles or provide information and clues. And it also says here, every single one of its Sphinx lair actions can derail at least one character, if not the game itself. A Sphinx can cause a character to become 1d20 years older or younger on a failed save. Again, there's no aging rules in 5e. This can render a character unfit or venturing or ruins a player's enjoyment of them. Ruin a player's enjoyment of them. So basically, oh no, my feelings got hurt because my 18-year-old human is now 28 years old. Oh no, my feelings got hurt because my 18 years old human is now 8. I don't know a single player who wouldn't have the funnest time playing a 8-year-old character who still had all the same abilities they had when they were a 28-year-old character, because it doesn't say anything about affecting the abilities. It just says you're older. Remember, there's no age effects in 5e. So your 8-year-old 8th level wizard would have the exact same abilities as he did when he was 30. And other than the fact his robes don't fit him anymore, he can still cast his spells. So now you have like the demon baby from Nimona where, excuse me, sir. Oh, look at the little kid. I can't find my mommy. Can you help me? Oh, what's wrong, little 6-year-old? Blah! Magic missile to the face. They can send the party to another plane of existence, potentially stranding them away from home. How is that not fun? That's part of the adventure. They can alter the flow of time to send the party into the past or the future. Again, that's not campaign destroying. That's literally plot. They only have those abilities. Those are all plot powers, you idiot. Those are all plot powers. Okay. The Sphinx is a plot device. It is literally there to perpetuate whatever the adventure is. I am running an adventure that requires my players to go to another plane of existence. Oh my God. It's not like we've ever written an adventure that does that before. Oh, wait. Yeah, we have. There's like dozens off the top of my head. Temple of Elemental Evil. Princes of the Apocalypse. Storm King's Thunder. Oh my God. Plus hundreds and hundreds of third-party 5e things. All right. Well, I need a plot device to get them from the prime material plane to the elemental plane of sandwiches. What would I do? Oh, a Sphinx. Literally, it's a plot device creature. It's not there. If you're saying, oh, the Sphinx sent them into another plane, that ruins my game. Well, one, you're just a sucky DM. And two, you don't understand why the Sphinxes are there. Isaac, again, did you actually read the monster manual, or are you just basing this on what you think people feel? And again, if you actually talk to actual 5e players, and you know what, again, I'm going to say with all honesty, this is my personal experience. 90% of the 5e players I have met would be perfectly fine with everything on here. Even if they're like, oh, no, there'd be somebody playing that Intelligence 0. There'd be somebody playing the fuck out of that Intelligence 0. And be like, oh, I've got Intelligence 0. That means I can do stupid shit now, right? Why is your character doing that? He's got an Intelligence of 0. That's why he's licking the wall. Oh, no, the Sphinx set us to another plane. What can we steal? Dude, the spawn of Couph. Okay, I don't even think this is in the game anymore. And it's a very specific monster to a very specific encounter. And his special ability is basically here, have some rock grub, which we discussed. So this should not even be on the list. And I'm afraid to think what number 1 is, unless it's a dragon. Unless number 1 is a dragon, Isaac, you're gone. Okay, there's no reason for this to be on the list, okay? The spawn of Couph appears in one thing. It is a very specific monster for a very specific creature from a very specific time. If it's even in 5e, which I don't think it is, I don't think anybody's ever used it because there are better and more effective D&D undead. And this is just, cut, paste, gone. I can think of way better monsters that could ruin a party's day than this. Number 1 better be a dragon. And number one is the Tarrasque. Really? 5,000 plus creatures available, and a Tarrasque is your number one no fun creature because it can destroy towns? All right, so first, when was the last time anybody actually used a Tarrasque other than a joke? Second, the Tarrasque only shows up in extreme high-level adventures designed to fight the Tarrasque, and the player characters are usually given something in the adventure to compensate for the Tarrasque's size and damage. Like, I don't know, a giant robot. Yeah, I mean, pretty much every adventure that has a Tarrasque in it has the players getting their hands on something that makes them able to fight it, and usually it's a giant robot. Also, name any time in the history of 5e this has shown up in any other reason than as a joke or on Adventurers, Incorporated, Unlimited, Acquisitions Incorporated, when they got a giant robot to fight it. You remember when they fought the Tarrasque in Acquisitions Incorporated, they had a giant robot. The Tarrasque fight may take hours due to its immense toughness. No, it won't. I can say with expertise that I ran a group of 5 8th level characters against the Avatar of Jubilex, and they took out the Avatar of Jubilex in 2 rounds. Okay? In 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds. Maybe it was 3 rounds. So the Tarrasque's big thing is its high armor class, its vast amount of hit points, and its resistances. But if you've ever actually seen 5e characters go up against a high-level monster, they go through it like my cat goes through cat food. And then the number one should have been a dragon. I mean, the Tarrasque is, again, so unbelievably specific. It's almost a joke monster. In fact, I don't even know why they ever included the Tarrasque other than they wanted a Godzilla. I mean, or they were writing some kind of, we need to write a world-ending campaign, so we need to create a monster who's capable of eating the world. But I don't just want to use another dragon. We've done dragons, so we need Godzilla, but we can't actually use Godzilla, so we need something like a Godzilla. Can we make a Godzilla that isn't Godzilla? And some guy's like, here, it's a big, stompy, prehistoric, armored lizard that, is impossible to kill. But it's not really impossible to kill. It's just a huge hit point sink, but it's not Godzilla. Yeah, no, sorry. Number one should have been a dragon. It's literally in the name of the game, the end-all, be-all, final boss of pretty much any game. There should be a dragon in there. Even if the final boss is Vecna would be hanging out with a dragon. But really, the most dangerous monster you can throw player characters against is themselves or an NPC party of adventurers who has the exact same shit that they do. The most dangerous monster in D&D is player characters. The most dangerous monster in D&D is adventuring parties. The worst thing you can throw against a party of player characters, adventurers, is an NPC party of adventurers who have stuff just as good as the player characters. The last 5e game I played, the toughest encounter was when we had to fight the NPC party, not any of the monsters. So yeah, I disagree with almost every one of this list. I wonder if Isaac has actually even played 5e recently or read through the monsters, because Ghost, no, that's wrong. That's totally wrong. Ghosts in 5e are basically there to deliver messages and warnings. They're Hamlet's dad, okay? And aging somebody in 5e, pointless. Rock Rub, yeah, sure, Rock Rub is still a major threat, but can easily be dealt with in 5e mechanics because, lesser restoration. Fire. Oh, no, you failed your death save. You get 2 more. Rust Monster, again, should not be on the list. Absolutely should not be on the list. A Rust Monster is not a threat. It's a Rust Monster. I've got a bag of copper coins. Here, go get it, boy. Go get it. Who's a good boy? Shadow, draining a character to 0 strength. Is that even a thing in 5e? I don't think there's disadvantages for losing strength. Beholder, definitely a Beholder should be on the list. It is one of the most toughest monsters to run and do the mechanics right and to encounter because it can do so many things at the same time, including the battlefield control that the telekinesis and the disintegration gives it. Banshee, no. Intellect Devour, yeah, but when are you ever going to run into this? Unless you're dealing with Githyanki or Ithalid. And again, it can take, maybe it takes out one guy. Maybe, but more likely than not, that guy's going to have the time of his life playing that 0 intelligence character, or I'm going to go eat the rocks. Dude, why are you eating the rocks? Because I got a 0 intelligence. Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense. The Sphinx, no, absolutely not. The Sphinx is not a monster to be fought. The Sphinx is a plot device. I need to know information. Answer my 3 riddles. I need to get to the elemental plane of sandwiches. Do this favor for me, and I'll send you to the elemental plane of sandwiches. Yeah, no. The Spawn of Caruth, absolutely not. Unbelievably specific, utterly ridiculous, and there's been so many better undead made since they made this. And the Tarrasque. Again, no, there's absolutely no reason this should be on the list. Dragon should be number 1, or a group of adventurers. I mean, we know that the CBR does these things, and it's written by people who just kind of generally look at what the Sparkle Trolls are complaining about. And the main complaint of all of these was, we don't want to make D&D unfun by placing somebody in a situation where their character can't act for a round or 2. Okay, I've never seen this happen. There are so many ways in 5e, including at first level, to get yourself out of those situations. There's so many things that trigger saving throws, and you got your standard action and your bonus action and your free action and blah, blah, and your reaction action. I mean, I played through a year-long 5e game last year. There was more than one time when I was like, yeah, I'm going to see how far I can push this. Can I get my character killed? And it's like, nope. We thought, there's a couple times when we thought, we were going to have a TPK, but then we looked at the math and all the shit our characters could do. And then we're like, yeah, no, we're fine. Even when we were at the final fight and we're like fighting a 100 hit point thing. And it's like, yeah, no, we're fine. We won the fight in like 2 rounds. Yeah, no. Oh, DM Kurtzela awake. Go back to sleep. Rust monsters have such weak stats that even a low B 5 EPC can pummel them in the ground. Yes, just hit it with clubs. The Tarrasque should never have been statted. It should have just been an environmental effect, like a tornado. Yeah, okay, I could go with that. Unless you're going to throw in something specifically designed to take out the Tarrasque. Like, how do you take out Godzilla? With another giant monster. Or with robots, a giant robot. Or you just distract him to go a different direction, And then you have damage control come in and fix the buildings. Bring back level draining breath weapons. Yeah. But it's like, I don't think level draining exists in 5e anymore. Anyways, there's a list. We can all just take a break and point at it and laugh and go, yeah. Lists like this. I hate to defend 5e and Wizards of the Coast, but lists like this perpetuate the myth of what people think 5e players are like. And then that continues to perpetuate the hostility that 5e players want comfy, safe, where they never have to make a saving throw. And I'm not saying that doesn't exist out there. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I've never encountered it, but I'm not saying it doesn't exist. Okay. Maybe Southern California gamers are just more mature than the rest of you people. I don't know. But then there's always been, weird subcultures of every game and every permutation of the game. I'm sure there was people back in first edition who wanted comfy, safe role playing. I remember a AD&D game I played in college where like many sessions were just us going around town and interacting with the town people and just shopping for Christmas presents and stuff like that. And when one of the player characters got married, and that's what people wanted. So it's not specific to 5e. It's just sometimes people want to do comfy role playing. But, the Sparkle Troll myth that creates the hostility, that's perpetuated by articles like this and comments like, you will destroy the game. You will destroy the game. You will not destroy the game. It will not harm the game permanently if one of your characters fails a saving throw and can't do something for a couple rounds. That's assuming that there is absolutely no way for you to re-roll that saving throw, get a second saving throw, bonus effect, free action, item effect, somebody else taking a bonus action, somebody else taking a, oh, is there a paladin? He trigger. Oh, I get inspiration, I guess, to trigger the same thing. Oh, I forgot I'm a halfling. I get, that's. And if there is that one purple-haired Veruca out there who's going to cry because her character is held for a round. Oh, I can't do anything around. You're taking away my agency. There's the door. Oh, my character's dead. What can I do? Play the bad guys. Grab 3d6, make a new character, and while you're making a new character, play my bad guys. All right, I posted a link if you want to make fun of this list. I've wasted enough of your time with this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Me, I disagree. I can think of tons of monsters that are better campaign ruiners than this. Number one, of course, being other adventurers. Other adventurers. Why isn't Dragon on the list? Other adventurers are the most scary thing in 5e. That's it for today. See you Monday.